Good morning and welcome to What's New with Mike and Jeff, your Saturday morning hobby live stream coming to you via the interwebs. I messed up the intro. I haven't messed up the intro in so long. Oh, sorry. First time for everything. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mike. You know this gentleman with me is Jeff.
Hello, everybody.
Here we are live. It's all the pressure of life, and I cracked under the pressure.
So. Well, there's something significant happening today that we haven't done, and that's probably why the pressure got to you.
What's going on today?
We're not only just streaming on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, something new. Did you check to see if it's live on YouTube?
So let's check that out. You tell people where we're at, and I'll check.
All right, everybody. So Jeff and I have relaunched the YouTube channel, the YouTube channel, and we're now trying to stream to YouTube as well. That way we can kind of broaden our customer base, our viewership, and just get more people out there. And some people prefer to watch YouTube because you can watch it on your big screen TV, and you can watch it on your computer, you can watch it on your phone, your tablets, all that other stuff. And you're not Facebook's a good medium, but it's become more of an advertisement medium. So YouTube's still where all the social people hang out. So anywho, we're live on YouTube's.
We be there.
All right. So we are, if you now want to go subscribe to the YouTube channel and hang out with us on YouTube, go for it. And you can still comment. We will see how that all works. YouTube's changed a lot over the years. So hopefully with StreamYard and all that, it all ties in together. So if people are commenting on YouTube, we'll see the comments on StreamYard, because that's supposed to be how it works. So yeah. So we got that going on.
So now not only can we get put in Facebook jail, but we have the potential, if we screw up, to be put in YouTube jail.
Yeah, but YouTube jail is not. It's a lot harder to get put into YouTube jail.
Oh, I have faith in us.
Oh, I got total faith in us. But you can. Hey, Greg.
Hey.
What's the channel? I assume it's the same. Yeah. What's new with Mike and Jeff? Same. Why change? Why change a good thing?
Yeah,
it's like
it works.
My wife and I were shopping for groceries, and she's like, "Do you want to try?" Like, I was getting coffee syrup, so I get like sugar-free vanilla coffee syrup. She's like, "Oh, they got French vanilla. You want to try that?" And I'm like, "No, why change? I like vanilla."
Yeah, why change?
Hey,
Greg, how you doing this morning, buddy?
I don't need no French vanilla. so anyway, also I got, thanks to Jeff, new lighting. Let there be light. So Jeff, a generous gift to me, sent me a glorious game in the light. Yes. And I clamped this to my desk, and I turned it on, and holy cow, what a difference.
It's a great light. It's really great.
Yeah. Well, it's a great light because of the sidearms going down.
Yep.
And the fact that you can angle them. I now understand what you're talking about with the mid arms, where you can't angle the mid arms.
Right.
Like you got your center, you got the mid, and then you got the outside. You can't angle. And I understand why you were like, it'd be so much better if I could just bend those down a little bit.
Yeah.
But this light has so many features. I just love it. But I had to change my camera angle. Mainly I'm looking at the screen. But I was getting a fuzzy effect going on.
Right.
Simply because of where my camera was, blah, blah, blah. Normal stuff. Mike, now you need a better camera.
he must be blurry to you. You must be blurry to him as well as you are to me.
I wonder if my camera lens is dirty and I just need to wipe it off.
It could be your camera. You're still hooked up through Wi-Fi, right? I'm actually a direct link to my.
I'm a direct link. Oh, you know what? It is hooked up to Wi-Fi. Yep, I am. That's probably why you're getting a blurry effect. And Don, I don't think I need a better camera on me. You're pretty blurry. But do you really want to see me in 4K, Don? I guess that's the question I need to ask everybody.
No, that doesn't. Because if people can look at me in 4K and live, they'll be fine with you
It might be my camera, because I am hooked up to Wi-Fi right now, so it could have more to do with my internet. And if I disconnect my Wi-Fi right now, it may send StreamYard into a tizzy. So I will work on a better.
Well, speaking of internet, if I just disappear, it's because we got dumped on. We got a ton of snow. Well,
Yeah, you did.
We're not Buffalo, but we got a lot of snow, and my internet has been coming in and out. So if I just drop off, that means once again my internet has failed, and
we'll just call it a day. So
today, so we're good. So.
But I do appreciate the feedback, guys, on blurry. But I'm getting there. It's a little baby steps. So
baby steps.
This year I added the second monitor. And I actually like the view of the camera going back the way it was. I'm hoping it may take the halo effect from the sun when it comes up.
Yeah.
Out. So we'll see. And but yeah, I might just clean my lens. That might be that might be a good starting point.
Let's go back to your new lighting. And not basically what I picked up was a new Game Envy Lucent light.
Yeah.
I have one on my airbrush area back here. It's a really, really good value. It's a great lamp. It's got a bunch of different color settings on the light. And then you have lights in the center, and then these two sides can fold down with lights in it. You can turn those off or on independently. And it's really good. If you want a good light for under $100, that's a great light.
But you got a lot of adjustments. So first I can turn off the center lights like I just did.
Yep.
Like now that actually looks a lot better. How's that look?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Morning, Raymond. I can just turn the outside lights off. So the outside arm lights off.
Right.
So that gives me some variety. And then you have your color spectrum of lights. And then you have your adjustment of those lights. So you can get them brighter, darker, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Morning, Joe.
Morning, Joe. Keep talking for me. I want to do something.
Okay. So anyways, so it just gives, and then it's got three pivot points in the arm itself. And they're not short arms. The two main arms are at least a foot each. And then there's a third pivot point at the base. So you can pull it closer, you can raise it up. Actually, it's three arms. And they're about a foot apiece. So you got all kinds of mobility to it, to where you can mess around with it. And then all of the arms can, on the mid arms can swing in and out. And then the outer arms can swing up and down. It's just so much flexibility when you're trying to get that better lighting for your, you know what it reminded me of when I hooked it up and I did like a U shape with the arms.
Wow.
You know how people got those desk lights that like do the whole U shape thing, like they kind of create that umbrella of light on your desk.
Yeah,
that's what it kind of reminded me of, because I could lower it down to my desk, and then I did the little arms off to the side. I know it's not the exact same thing, but it was pretty damn close, and it was taking away all the shadow from my miniature I was painting. It was just awesome. So
yeah, I have an arch from
Red Grass or something.
No, I have a Red Grass lamp. I'm trying to think. I can't think of the name now. It'll come to me. I buy a lot of other stuff. But I bought it from them, and it's nice. But for as old as I'm getting, I just need a lot more light.
Yeah.
Which is why I used my Red Grass lamp here.
That's it. That's your Red Grass.
Yeah, my big red, and which is a fantastic light, but it's a little pricey. And then I've got the Game Envy light on my paint station or my airbrush station.
So. Yeah, and you said it was under $100. So
yeah, the Game Envy light's under $100, and I just put the link to Game Envy, the Lucent light for Game Envy in the chat, and I popped into our Discord. It's in the What's New with Mike and Jeff page on our Discord.
But it's just it's not a big bulky light. Actually, after I put it all up, I took all my other lights off my desk. I don't have my big blinding light anymore. I don't have my side LED lights. Everything's off my desk. I recorded my first video for YouTube using the light yesterday.
Yep.
I just wanted to see how it would look and how it would work. And the video turned out 10 times better because I have so much flexibility with the light, because I can move it away from my camera. Like, just so much flexibility. So thank you very much for my gift. I really appreciate it. I love it.
I went on and I ended up, because I needed a new lamp for my painting area, my airbrush area, and I thought, man, I was expecting. I believe Dave Taylor, which is another person in the world that spends my money for me, because it was only something cool, and I have to go out and get it.
All of us spend your money, it seems.
Yeah, it's everybody else's fault. It's not mine. It's not my impulse control problem. It's not that. It's not that at all. It's not my uncontrollable desire to own everything of something. But just I don't know why I'm not a big Pokemon fan. You know, their motto's got to catch them all.
I don't think you can afford to be a Pokemon fan.
I don't think I can either. Well, especially after I pre-ordered the new Army Painter complete set.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Ooh, sucker. Yeah. I bought some Army Painter stuff yesterday. We'll talk about that in just a little bit.
Yeah. So that's and so when I saw Dave had it, I jumped on just to say, well, let me see how much it is. And it was like, holy cow, that's not a bad price. So I went and grabbed one for my airbrush station. Now, you know something? It's the holidays. And I haven't bought my buddy Mike a Christmas present or my buddy Darren a Christmas present yet. I would just buy those.
That's perfect.
I bought 2 more.
Dude, I just love it. I think it is probably, I might actually, because I have a big old overhead type light for my airbrushing station. So I may actually go out and get one for over there too, just like you did.
Yeah.
It's really not an airbrushing station anymore. It's more of just a catch-all desk of shit. But you know, we call it an airbrush station to make us feel special. Well, the reality is just I airbrush at mine.
I have this section on my table, and then I used to have a table right behind me, but it just got in the way, and so.
Well, it becomes another place to pile stuff.
Yeah, any flat surface. Again, one of my favorite episodes of the old that show News Radio. I don't know if anybody ever seen it. But they had a desk in the office that was always empty, and it always kept collecting stuff. And the whole show was basically one of the subplots of the show was why this desk was always a mess. So finally, towards the end of the show, they get it cleared off, and the guy that was railing about it goes, "Oh, that's fantastic, that's great." And he turns away, and he's talking to the entire cast. He's talking to them, and as he's talking to them, they start staring back where the desk would be at. He turns back around, and there's a single cup now sitting on the desk that wasn't there before. And he made the statement, "Is this a magic desk? You just collect stuff?" And it was kind of interesting because that's what happens in my life. I'll have I've cleaned my kitchen table off. Everything's great. I come back in and like, how did all that get on there? Oh yeah, I dumped it on there when I came in the front door. So,
there you go.
that service must store stuff on it.
Well, and as miniature gamers / collectors, painter, like we are really good at Tetris and storing. Storage is like our key. Like when people start complaining about storage, I'm like, yeah, you ain't got nothing. I got more on you.
You have no idea.
You have no idea how to store stuff. I can show you how to take all that stuff and put it into one box. So we become pretty sufficient at that.
I prefer to consider myself a professional hoarder. Because I can do it without making little walkways through the apartment. So.
We are hoarders without the negative portion of hoarding. We are just, well, that's what makes us collectors.
Yeah.
We are collectors of stuff. Speaking of Army Painter. I went out to the shop yesterday, IOG, and I picked up a box of paint bottles.
Okay, yeah.
Now, why would I pick up a box of paint bottles?
Because you have this obsession with dropper bottles?
Yes, because I bought GW paint. I haven't bought GW paint in a while. So I'm getting ready for our painting weekend.
Yep, yeah.
In order for me to get ready for look, anybody that thinks anything on YouTube, Facebook, or any of these other things is real, let us pull back that curtain. Nothing's real. We're getting ready for the painting weekend, so I have to test paint stuff. Right. And I have to make sure I have my color palettes down and I have my techniques down and all that good stuff. Just like anything else, like all those painting videos you see on YouTube, trust me, they edit a bunch of stuff out. Because it would be boring to watch somebody actually paint a miniature if it wasn't edited down tremendously, because glazing is boring. blending is boring, and you would literally see someone sit there for 3 hours and make very little progress.
The only thing I think that you can actually paint an entire model on stream is if you're on Twitch.
Well, Twitch is that format though.
Yeah. That's just that format. That's what, and they usually sit there and paint. What is Raymond saying?
He's asking when the weekend. We haven't gotten there yet, Raymond. I know you're one step ahead of me. Why aren't you in Vegas, by the way? You're supposed to be in Vegas. It's Las Vegas Open weekend. Why aren't you in Vegas?
The tournament LVO is insane. We'll come to that later.
Yes, we'll come to all that later. So anyway, so I'm getting ready. So I'm doing my guard as Death Guard models. Best show.
I'm not sure. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Hey, Beavis and Butthead are funny. We're funny. I'll take it that way. Thanks, Vic. So I'm getting everything ready. So I'm doing Death Guard green for my tanks, and I'm highlighting those up. So I had to go out and buy a little pot of Death Guard green because I need to color match the primer that I'm using, because I got the Death Guard spray primer.
Right.
And then I'm doing what is it called? The Xandri dust.
Right.
I thought you were all doing a group trip to Vegas. No, not us.
We did one day on the show 6 months ago say we're all going to make a Mike and Jeff trip to LVO, but we didn't make
that. Didn't happen.
It ended like 5 minutes after the show stopped.
Short answer, long answer. Money, and I was saving my PTO for a long interval. Well, I appreciate hearing that, Raymond, because nothing beats a long anniversary weekend with your wife. That is awesome, and I commend you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hobby will always be there. Your wife, you got to make sure she's happy. That's what we do. So I bought some Xandri dust. So I had to get Xandri dust base, and I also got some sort of bone color, Ushabi bone. So anyways, that's going to be my color palette for the models. I did a little infantry model. So since I'm going Xandri dust for the base, then I'm dry brushing the infantry model up with the Ushabi bone, and I'm washing it with Reichland flesh because I'll give it like a reddish, dirty tint. Then I'm just pulling out a few of the details for the armor on the infantry with the Death Guard green, which is actually kind of a really pale green, and it kind of blends in too much with the bone color.
Yep.
But I'm okay with that because that's how it should look. As far as an infantry model goes, it shouldn't be too contrasty.
Yep.
But now I just got to figure out what to do with my bases. Because with small little infantry models, you want your base to be contrasting to that. So it's either I go with a gray base or I go with a super dark brown base.
Right.
So that the infantry models contrast on the base so they stand out. So that's where I'm on the fence about which way to go with that. I don't know. I don't know if gray and bone color will work together nicely. What do you think? I think it's
what the main color on the model is going to be your Death Guard is going to be your base.
A shabby bone.
Shabby bone will be the primary color.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, the first thing I'm thinking of is I'd actually go a different direction. I'd go with a kind of an ash waste kind of a look.
What's ash waste? What do you? Huh?
I'd go with a kind of a black base with maybe a Mechanicus gray highlight on the base to give it kind of this desert lava field kind of a look.
But the bases are kind of they're like city bases.
Yeah,
that could work. What if I did a black and I did like a sponge dark gray on top of it to kind of make it look concretey?
Yeah, that'll work.
Right, I'll mess around with it. And by the way, the bases, 25 millimeter washer fits perfectly on the bottom of the base.
Sweet.
And that way I can magnetize them. You can actually see the little white dot.
Yes, up there, yeah.
It would be the super glue. You know how super glue gases off and does all that weird stuff?
Yeah.
That's what that would be.
That'll work.
So anyways, long story short, hey, Heron, I bought GW paint, but I had to go buy dropper bottles.
Dropper bottles. There you go. That's why.
Because that's just the way it works.
I just transfer my as I finish using a certain color. Like for example, this is my Abaddon Black for GW.
Yeah.
In my empty Pro Acryl bottle.
Well, and that's what I went to IOG. IOG sells the toppers and bottles, but they were out. So I saw the Army Painter ones there. They're 12 mil. GW paints 12 mil. I'm like, all right, let me pick up some of those and get them transferred over. So I'll probably be doing that today. I got these little spatula things. For scraping out and getting as much of the paint out as possible because I'm cheap.
No, I've been looking. I dabble with Army Painter, never, and I'm having such a hard time finding any Vallejo anywhere in stock. So I thought, I think it's time for a change. I just want to try something new.
Yep.
And I just said I'm just going to try this complete set.
The reviews on the new paint are phenomenal from Army Painter. So
they have been really good.
Now, I've become a big fan of Pro Acryl.
Me too.
I love Jason's paint. The new range is awesome, but it still lacks certain. I'm not a big fan of the washes he has, but I think that's more because I'm so used to my Army Painter quick shade, dark tones, or my GW Aggrath dirt shade, or my Reichland flesh. But give him time. He only has 3 washes right now, so give him time. I'm sure that range will expand. And contrast paint, love them, hate them, don't care. GW, I think contrast paint is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It's a great glazing technique. It's a great base coating technique. There's so many things you can do with their marketing on it was terrible. But I think the paint is fantastic. And to answer Raymond's question, sorry, we never got around to that, Raymond. The painting weekend is going to be President's Day weekend. So it's going to be the 16th, 17th, and 18th
of February.
Of February, because we're not going to do it this week.
No.
So we're going to be doing it on President's Day weekend because that is a long weekend for most people because they'll be off on President's Day. So if you're just kind of bored, we'll do our usual. We're going to stream at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night. We'll just do 2 streams throughout the day. The idea of the painting weekend is just to sit down and focus on painting a model or a project over a weekend. And if you really focus your energy, again, I'll get into some philosophy here. Turn off the distractions, tune into what you're doing, really focus on what you're doing, get rid of all the noise in your head. You'll be able to really see how far you can get in just a weekend. Painting a project can be overwhelming. And I'm going to, I've got 1 set of the Legion Imperialis in front of me, but I'll probably end up with a second set, and I'll be doing 2 sets of Legion. I'm going to really try to get a lot of this stuff done in that weekend because for right now it's really hard to find anything for the game. The Thunderhawks and all the tanks, people bought up everything. I don't know, I don't think GW was ready for this.
Yeah, well, the GM's just having a hard time keeping anything in stock right now. I don't have any explanation for it. I don't understand
why. Too many fish in the frying pan.
Yeah.
They just got a lot going on. Old World, Legion Imperialis both came out relatively close together, and they were underprepared for how much people will. I find I need the distraction, i.e., background noise. But again, if that works for you, go for it. I don't like the movies on, things like that, radio on. That's not something that it's the noise I'm talking about is all the worrisomeness in your life. Worrying about paying the bills, worrying about other things. Just focus on your project.
Well, you're working on your Imperialis, which I was originally going to do.
Right.
But I'm still with this daunting task of the Tale of 4 Warlords that I'm doing with Dave Taylor and Jake from Build Paint Play, and John Schaefer from Build Paint Play. John Schaefer and I are the two guests. Jake and Dave do the live stream every Tuesday night at 7 Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
And you can also follow up on YouTube if you want. So I've got a big project that I got to get done, 2,000 Point Army, that I got to get done before Adepticon, which is middle of March. And my deadline is the 16th of March that I'm going to have to be able to work on it because I'm traveling after that.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to be working on, whatever project I have for that particular project over that weekend, just to get my focus and see how much I get done. But that's kind of really what we're doing the weekends. I'll show you that if you just sit down and get some, kind of take the time and kind of clear all the and when you say noise, I know exactly what you're talking about, just the noise of everyday life, the distraction that we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. So if you really just set yourself down, like think about it. You just bought the Tomb Kings old world box set. There's like 100+ models in that. Like there's skeletons, don't get me wrong. Skeletons can be easy to paint. They can also be hard to paint depending on the level of boniness that you want to make the skeletons look. But you're sitting there like you've got 100+ models. And it can be like you just look at the sea of gray and you're just like, oh, I'm never gonna get this done.
It can be daunting.
Yeah, so that's why the painting day weekend, and also flip side of that, it's going to force us to get back into painting on stream and doing stuff. So there's a little bit of that double-edged sword to that. So that's kind of what's going on for that, Raymond, and everybody else watching. Just plan on it for President's Day weekend. There'll be a total of 6 streams that weekend. I've blocked out that time from life to do that now that we've settled on a date. And
well, the other thing I need to tell everybody is, unfortunately, because of the weather here, my internet connection yesterday was sporadic at best, and I never got a chance to do any prep work. So I don't have two things I don't have. I don't have any pictures from Discord show today. And I also don't have, there was a really good LVO GW presentation about upcoming releases. I had no opportunity to pull that either because we got about 4 or 5 inches of snow dumped on us.
Yeah.
And my internet was in and out all day yesterday. I was trying to paint and watch the War Games Live footage from LVO, and I'd get maybe 5 minutes and it would just crash. And I'd have to wait maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. And I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to make it here today, but my internet cable was on this morning when I woke up and has been fairly consistent. So, but I'll have them for next week. And we'll have all the new stuff from GW and the LVO now.
Well, and they're like nothing. A lot of it for all the core game systems, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
40K, Age of Sigmar, Underworlds, Kill Team. Nothing new for Blood Bowl. Nothing new for specialist games.
But there was heresy stuff, but a lot of it was Age of Sigmar. There's new Kill Team stuff coming out. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but it was all really, the models again are just gorgeous. I mean, I think the Mandrakes were listed. So a lot of cool stuff, but nothing.
So
release a Dark Age or something again. So.
They are doing a 30K version of everything that came in the Imperialis box. So they're doing the Guard in 30K, and they're doing the exact same tanks in 30K as they did in Imperialis. And I'm really going to be interested. I might actually buy a couple of the tanks just so I can open them up and see the sprues and see, did they just scale down or did they actually? They did. I've got on pretty good authority that all they really did was take their basically their digital design and shrunk it down because the details just phenomenal,
fantastic. Yeah.
And that's why I'm so curious about it. I'm like, when I was building, these are little itty bit, and I'm like, I feel like I'm building a 40K, like a regular model GW model kit.
Yeah, I think it was Jake that was saying there was a guy up at his store up at Alpha Omega Hobby that did a force perspective shot with his Imperialis Rhino and or whatever vehicle it was, and it looked like a 40K vehicle.
Yeah,
in a force perspective.
Yeah, it's just insane. So I'm kind of curious, but then again, I might also just want to paint up some of these tanks as regular scale model tanks. Like,
That's kind of what we do.
well, I just want to approach it a little bit more aggressively with maybe putting it on a base. Like, I don't see myself playing 30K when I have the epic version of 30K that I can play. Like, to me, but I wouldn't mind painting up a few of these as like a display type tank that you would just, because they look very World War One-ish. Like,
yeah.
some of the guard tanks do. Not necessarily the Space Marine side of things, but some of the guard tanks look very World War One-ish.
They definitely. Well, I mean, the original concept for the tank were land battleships.
Yeah,
because that's what they're trying to get, these big gigantic land battleships with all these mounted mobile gun platforms.
Yes.
And then as with everything, as it developed, it kind of narrowed down to what was most efficient, which is just a main battle tank.
And the Baneblade is a prime example of such
a battleship.
Such a battleship. And again, I had a Baneblade at one time when they first came out because they were cool. And of course, I was playing orcs at the time, and I was going to chop the son of a gun up and do all kinds of inappropriate things to it to make it an orc battle wagon. But it never happened. But it was a wonderful kit. I really liked the Baneblade model kit, and I've always liked the guard model kits. But I'm kind of digging the new ones coming up for 30K. They've got my attention. How's that sound?
Well, yeah. Well, the models in Imperialis are fantastic.
Yes.
But the new stuff they were putting out for there's a big solar auxilia, whatever they call it.
Yeah, I just call them guard.
Guard. They're just guard. Yeah. And they're Eldar to me too. They're dark Eldar, not Drukari, whatever you call it. But yeah. And I was, like I said, one of the things I've been getting in the habit of is when I'm painting on Saturdays, I have usually War Games Live is streaming some tournament somewhere.
Sure.
And he's actually I think the only mainstream for LVO this weekend. And it's insane the number of people that are there.
What's the number? Because
like 2,000 players.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's about right.
The big hall, and I'm quoting numbers from my feeble brain, so don't. That's where my memory is. I think I've gone backwards. You see, my brain processes like a 486. I've gone back to the computer that uses the cards. Data cards you have to input.
Do we need to defrag your hard drive?
I think so. I think I need to do something. But it's huge. Well, the hall that they used last year, they used the same hall at the Rio this year that they used last year. Last year they had 40K and I think Age of Sigmar and a couple other events going on in there. The hall now is just 100% 40K.
Yeah.
And it's been insane. And again, if you haven't checked out War Games Live, check out their stream. It's a really good stream. Joe, the guy that does it, lives in an RV and travels from event to event. And the live stream is fantastic. And it's really, if you want to have background noise on, and I try to, it's really hard to find something thematic when you're painting 40K because there's very few things that are you can throw on that'll help. It's really great to have on while you're painting because they discuss rules and what they can and can't do, and you get exposure to a lot of different armies. But it's just entertaining. But it's just the events at LVO are insane.
See, I'll probably end up going back to LVO when they move back to the Strip.
Yeah,
I don't really care for the Rio. I don't really. It's a turnoff for me because I'm not going to go play in the 40K tournament. And if I'm going to Vegas, I'm going with the wife, and we're going to go do things. And I'm just really particular about going to events. I want to stay at the hotel where the event's being held so I can come and go and my wife can go do things. And when it was at Bally's, that worked out perfectly. I understand why they moved and I understand all their logistics, but to be honest with you, Rio's just not the place. I don't want to be off the Strip.
Well, my thing is, I actually wouldn't. I mean, I remember you and I went to LVO together, and they had such a great thing for the non-gaming wives organized. And they had shuttle service for them, this, that, and the other. I would imagine LVO being as organized as it is, that if they realize that the Rio is off the Strip, they probably have arranged something for people to get back and forth if they need to.
Probably.
Yeah. So, but again, there's been some really great games that are going on. I'm actually, since I don't get a chance to play very often, well, not very often at all.
Yeah.
Watching the stream, I've learned quite a bit about how things work. I've gotten to the point now, though, that I keep my rule book. I keep my rule book right here, and so when something comes up, that I'm like, wait a minute, does that actually work that way? I'll go flip it through my rule book and read it.
Raymond, this is the last year for their contract at Bally's, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
When you do something like this, you sign a so many year contract with these hotels that you're going to do this every year. And Raymond's saying this was the last year of their contract, so maybe next year. Plus, I don't know if you're familiar, Frontline Gaming is putting out their own miniatures game.
That's what I've heard.
It's called Blood Throne, and I watched a playthrough of it, and Reese was at one of the channels that I like to watch for Conquest and stuff like that, called Play On Games.
Right.
And he was demoing. So they're at the Protocopy, not GW.
GW's taking over ITC.
Really? So I'm assuming then Frontline Gaming's is wanting to venture into a new realm. Then that's why they're doing this game. Yeah. And it was nothing like I was expecting them to do for a game. Right. Like when you talk Frontline Gaming and you talk Reese and all the Frankie and all those guys that do that, they're really competitive gamers. They put together this crazy RPG version of a miniatures game.
Cool.
I mean, it is an RPG heavy miniatures game. And I'm like, it had my interest, but I couldn't watch the whole video. So I got to watch the rest of it. I'll probably watch it all over again.
Do me a favor, send me the link to that.
Sure. But it's called Blood Throne. And it looks interesting. They're working with Creature Catcher for the miniatures.
Ooh, I painted a lot of those.
You already know the miniature quality is going to be up there.
Yeah, those are good miniatures.
It is a God is dead, end of the world, save the world kind of hero scenario, kind of a game for the one they were playing. I'm sure there's other scenarios as well. But yeah, so it's this very unique blend of a miniature versus RPG style game, which is something you're seeing more and more of on the market.
Right.
But it has a lot of unique mechanics, and it's not a you go, I go. You have an initiative board, and based on what you're like, if you're light armor and you're a certain class, you go first. But if you're in heavy armor and you're like the tank, you go last, and all this stuff in between. And it's just, I'm watching, I'm like, okay, this is very, to me, it felt very heavy. I'm like, there's a lot going on here. Yeah. But the miniatures look fantastic, and it just had and they're doing they're trying to put everything in the box. So like they're doing this cardboard fold up train, which is, again, they want it all in the box. They want you to be able to take it.
Like Race Over Tenfold Dungeon.
Yeah.
Battlefront style Tenfold.
I guess it hosts up to 7 people to play.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
So you could have a gaming group. Like it's going to be kind of like a Gloomhaven or a Kingdom Monster Death or Monster Kingdom Death.
Yeah. Well, Judgment Eternal Champions is kind of set up that way.
Yeah.
You can have multiple players.
Yeah. So it was just interesting. It wasn't what I thought Frontline Gaming would produce, to be honest with you. I'm like, didn't strike me as that would be something they would say, this is where I would have thought they would have wanted to put together some more of a competitive style.
Well, the thing is, you can that can still be a competitive style game. The problem is that there are so many, there's a lot of different miniature games out there right now. You got to come up with something. You got to come up with your own kind of hook.
And they found
you think about it, that'll do that. Where like Judgment Eternal Champions has a very huge following, but again, it's more into that. It's more based. It's more of its footing is in the RPG world, even though they're a miniature game.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of you got to kind of find something that's going to kind of get you out from underneath the Games Workshop umbrella,
right?
Because we've seen what happened if you try to go head to head with 40K, and you end up saying play like you got a pair, and then that blows up.
And then you turn all your miniatures into resin.
Yeah. Plus, I don't think Frontline wants to. I'm not as involved in that relationship as far as knowledge goes, but I can't see them with LVO, and LVO is absolutely a 100% Frontline thing.
Yeah.
I don't see them wanting to blow up their relationship with GW. So yeah,
and this is going to fall in lines with Necromunda and Mortime, and Inquisitor, and that kind of a realm where GW doesn't do that anymore. They kind of did it with some of the Warhammer Quests variants like Curse City, Blackstone Fortress, and stuff like that, but they just don't really push those narrative type games they used to. Back when they had the Legends series, Legends of the High Sea, Legends of the Old West, and they did a World War One and a Gladiator Legends game. Like, they did a lot of different Legends games,
right?
And those were all campaign driven, build your characters up and do all that kind of fun stuff. I think Blood Bowl's the only one they really have right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kill Team falls kind of in that to a certain point.
It's been a while since I played Kill Teams. I don't know if the campaign you build your characters.
Kill Team and Necromunda are with the fact that you run a team, your team can gain skills and equipment and can expand, and then you pick from your team who you want to throw out there. In a very broad stroke, limited kind of a way.
Yeah.
They kind of fall into that what you're describing, but it's definitely not an RPG style. It's more of just a progressive miniature game.
Yeah,
where your team gets better skills and better equipment.
Well, it's good that Frontline Gaming's doing it. Again, they found a different niche. They're moving with it. They've got all the right connections. I'll say that.
Yeah.
If they want to make something like this happen, they know who to contact. They have all the right people.
Yeah.
In there, and Creature Caster being the people making the miniatures, I may just buy the miniatures.
Yeah.
Like some of the models, they had a Spartan type character that just looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
But everything right now is prototype. So when you're watching the video, like, the cards aren't very flashy. They're very plain. Because they're still working on all that stuff. Like,
development. I can see that.
Yeah, and they're just at a certain point in the development that they felt comfortable enough to say, here's the basic premise of the game, and this is how the basic mechanics work. And it's a D8 system. It's all D8s. And it's kind of like symbols on the dice. Hey. Yes, you are the first comment from YouTube. We got a comment from YouTube. So
hey.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it is working. The system works. But yeah, so it's out there. So if you get a chance, take a look at it. And that's where I'm hoping maybe next year. Hey, Darren.
Hey, Darren, buddy, what's going on, big man?
So that's why I'm hoping maybe next year, if LVO ends up moving back to the Strip, it will make it more appealing for my wife and I to go, because that is an important piece of that element for me. The Rio wasn't happening.
Yeah. Well, again, looking at how big just the 40K tournament's gotten at LVO, they are really at a spot where they've got to pick the right space, because they like I said, this hall is huge and it's insane. It's just absolutely insane.
I didn't know GW was taking over the ITC though. I didn't know
that until yesterday either. They were talking about it in the chat on War Games Live. Now, most of the people are actually fairly calm about it. I was expecting kind of, oh no, they're going to struggle. No, everybody's kind of like, no, I think they'll handle it really well. So we'll see what happens.
Well, the ITC has a baked in foundation of how it all functions and how it all works and how everything is tracked and the whole concept behind it. So it's there.
Underestimate GW's ability to take a blender to it.
There may be some kind of agreements, like maybe they're hiring a couple of the frontline people to oversee it. Like they're hiring.
I'm curious to see where they go with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So that's LVO's going on. So they're only doing the one preview from GW at the LVO.
Yep.
It's not like they do. I forget what they call Warhammer Days, where it's like a preview every day for the whole weekend type thing.
Well, I had every intention of having all that stuff gathered together for today, but like I said, my internet was in and out. I mean, even watching when I was painting yesterday, I get maybe 45 minutes while I was painting because I normally do when I do the show prep, I'll do it the evening before. And my internet was just in and out, in and out, in and out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm not even be able to stream tomorrow because it's horrible. And we were expecting high week. We had snow yesterday, and then it went from snow to we had a high wind advisory. We had winds up to 70 miles an hour that were hitting us. I had to check on my motorcycle because I have to tug my cover down because if I don't and it gets really windy, the wind will blow up under the cover and then the cover becomes a sail and my 900-pound motorcycle decides to go 1 or 2 parking spaces over.
Well, and when you were sending me pictures of the snow, I was like, well, first of all, that looks cold. When you sent me that pictures, I was outside on my chair, just kind of reading a book, and I was just kind of relaxing.
Yeah. I sent the same picture to Darren. I got the weather forecast for 73, and I think I'll go walking outside barefoot. Meanwhile, and I took the picture. I was getting ready because my daughter will not drive when the weather's like it was. And she had to go to the grocery, and so she said, "Will you drive me?" I said, "Sure." And so I was sitting in the car, warming the car, waiting for us. I got to take a picture of this because I love this weather. I absolutely love it. It's really weird. The temperature right now is like 28 degrees, 29 degrees. And if there was no snow on the ground and I walked outside, it would feel like bitter cold to me.
Right.
Like, oh my God, this is just too cold. But I walk outside now, it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It feels different. So
maybe there's a subconscious concept going on because when you see the snow, you know it's cold, so you're like ready for it. But when you go outside and there's no snow and it's just cold, you're just like
winter. I am absolutely a product of Fenris. I love winter. Yeah. I love the snow. As a matter of fact, I would love to be able to retire to Alaska. I would just eat that up.
No, they have moose, and I don't want to be around them. Yeah. I've talked to animal control officers from Alaska, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a thing."
Yeah,
come walking in the city, and there's nothing you can do.
Well, considering I have a very, very, very deep respect for horses, meaning I'm afraid of them.
Yes. So Darren's not up to much. He had to get up early. He thought he'd drop in and say hi. Well, thank you very much.
Hello, buddy. Glad you stopped in.
Raymond called.
Greg's commenting from YouTube. Thank you, Greg. Glad it's working well. So
Raymond considered your bike a sail bike.
Yeah. I'm going green. I'm converting my motorcycle to sail power and
sail power. You're going to post-apocalyptic.
Yep. And right now, it actually happened once, which is how I know it can happen. But it fell over. My bike wasn't damaged because it fell into my ex-wife's car.
Oh, that's okay. And Heron's having the same issue. He's having connection issues. It's been up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird the amount of money I paid for my internet and cable here, and just how horrible my service is.
And speaking of IOG, so tomorrow IOG is hosting a very cool RPG day. Ooh. So it's a new RPG for the new year, new RPG, however you want to look at it. And it's being hosted by Game On. Ooh. And it is their focus is all of Free League stuff. So they got Free League games going on. So Free League games, Free League, first of all, is one of my favorite publishers of RPGs. So they do the One Ring and Vaesen and Aliens and Blade Runner, and now they just released The Walking Dead. They also have Dragonbane. Dragonbane is the Swedish version of D&D. They've just translated it, and it's just a roll under system, not a roll over system. Just a little bit of differences, but basically, it's a alternative version of D&D that, to me, with their art, because the art in the books it's just different art, and I love it. It just really speaks to me, so I love it. And they also publish for the Morkborg products, and they also have some other indie publishing type stuff that they do for some smaller publishers, because that's where I got into the odd is through Free League. But Free League is just one of those I don't want to say up and coming. They're just there. They're just a big publishing house.
See, I thought when you said you love them, I thought, okay, they come in a dropper bottle in a really cool box. Those are the things you look for when you're looking for a product.
I'm going to crush you right now.
And better dice.
one of the games they produce,
Mhm.
and the game that first caught my attention from them when they were a smaller publisher. So this was before any of the licensed products that they have that we're familiar with. They had a game called Forbidden Land. And what turned me on about that game is all the books were in a box. I was like, oh, hey, I got a game in a box. And yeah, so that was a big turn on for me. That was the first game I bought. And they have a game called Mutant Year Zero, which is they call it the Year Zero engine. It's a D6 dice pool system. Roll a bunch of D6s. Sixes are success. That is how you do it. So anywho, long story short,
Yep.
I'm a fan of Free League. But so at IOG tomorrow, they're going to be doing a little game day type thing, focused solely on the Free League product line.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and they're going to have, I guess there's going to be a couple games going. Obviously, you have to sign up for them because they can't have. I guess you could probably, if you had enough GMs, do a huge party, but that would be a lot of work. But then I guess there's going to be like panels and stuff, and it's just going to have like just celebrating Free League. So
that's awesome.
And the book quality for Free League on some of their games, the book quality is off the chart. Vason and the One Ring, they do phenomenal jobs publishing, putting it like the quality of the paper, the quality of the books, blah blah blah, everything about them. Those are their two. They make them feel old. They feel old textbook. Right. But even their mainstream stuff, their Aliens and Blade Runner, it's just they're just really quality books, but a lot of black print, heavy gloss paper, stuff like that. But they're good books. And I'm a book binder, so to me, books are a thing. So that's going on tomorrow.
Well, the thing is, I was out there long enough. The show at the IOG, Darren never runs or has a event that isn't entertaining and it isn't worth taking and checking out.
Yeah.
Well, there's one free RPG day when it was all Goblin Central. Made me crazy.
Yeah.
Because everybody had their own Goblin voice, which was just after 4 hours of listening to 40 people in the game room talk like their version of a Goblin, it's enough to make anyone crazy.
So
we're like, oh my God, get me out of here. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. So if you happen to be out and about tomorrow, you can always go swing by and take a look at what's going on. I don't know necessarily everything that's going to be going on. I just know they're going to be running some games and there's supposed to be some panels. I don't have like a schedule.
Should be great.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe somebody out there can attend it and let us know how it went.
Yeah, there you
go. And then now Battlefront actually partnered up with Game On for something that's coming out in the next month. They did a 10th anniversary edition of Firefly, the board game.
Ooh, the big one.
Yeah, that big release when I was there was insane. We launched it at Games Day, or not Games Day, but at Gen Con, and it was insane. And
then people screaming and grabbing it and picking it up.
Well, the problem was literally the booth was surrounded. There was a line and there were several other companies that did big releases.
Yeah,
and I had to actually I couldn't let anyone leave the booth. Because you really couldn't get out of the booth because we were surrounded by people, and I had to have one guy fight his way through the crowd to go get lunch for everybody because it was insane. It was battle when we did Firefly. I really discovered just how popular that show is because there are so many brown coats out there. But we are getting ready to we partnered with Game On to do a 10th anniversary edition, which is basically just everything in the box.
Yeah,
was ever produced for Firefly through Gale Force 9, and then they put a brand new pilot set in it, with brand new models and stuff. A new pilot set. So that's coming. So check it out if you guys hear about it. Check it out. It's coming. It's on the horizon. If you're a board game freak and you like Firefly, that game was fantastic. And it's a lot. And my daughter and son-in-law still play it on a regular basis. So,
yeah. And Gen Con is the place for that kind of craziness.
Yeah, but I was thinking Game On. Game On is a big, one of the big promoters for them.
Yeah, they did. I was going to go to their convention. There's like a Game On convention locally.
Yeah,
I'm assuming they do them on all the different states. It's like a Comic-Con type thing, but just timing. Just other things going on in life right now that I've got to focus on.
But there's always a good event going on if you can locate it. So.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if I'm going to Gen Con this year. I haven't heard from Jason, so I should probably read.
Yeah, they're probably going to start planning though in the next couple of months. You'll probably hear pretty soon.
Well, they've got a lot going on.
Gen Con's one of the big ones where you got a way they do their booth spacing and what they allot for people, and you earn your points and where you can get. They'll start in probably just the beginning of the second quarter of the year is when all those plans should get put in place.
Yeah, so that's probably when I'll get. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. So neither here nor there. I just know Gameland Games has a lot going on. They just released Tiny Epic Crimes, and they've got Tiny Epic Cthulhu going on. They've got another big title going on, and they just got a lot going on. And
Tiny Epic Tanks played in the 30K universe. Oh, no, it's a different game.
Whoa, hey, I should talk to them about Tiny Epic Tanks.
Tiny Epic Tanks.
That could actually be a fun little, because they've got like a pirate ship game.
Mm-hmm.
You could kind of just take the same kind of mechanics from that and just run it with tanks, because it's all about movement on the board of a ship. So why not? Yeah. Not my place. I got Tiny Epic Dungeons. It's a fun little dungeon crawl game. I think it's quite entertaining. That's kind of where I'm in. But yeah, outside of that, nothing else really going on.
I'm just still trying to knock out my Taylor for Warlords army for Bill Pay Play. I'm doing the of course my normal commission work, and then there's a lot of stuff going on down at GF9 Battlefront that I can't talk about.
Oh, that's always a bummer.
Yeah, it's always fun. I am back to building 15mm tanks again.
Well, you showed them off last week. Are you doing another army?
That was actually commissioned for Battlefront for some stuff they're doing for a video that you're doing. I did a bunch of German tanks. But I played Flames War quite a bit back in the day when I actually worked there on a regular basis. Gorgeous video, and I'm working on a U.S. starter army right now, so I'm building Shermans and Pershings and Chaffies and yes, I've got a bunch of Dark Angels headed my way.
I wonder why you got a bunch of Dark Angels heading your way.
I have no idea. So
I wonder who could want a bunch of Dark Angels painted.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to see. I want to take a look at the codex with that, because that's all coming out. And then we've got the new Old World, which I'm going to be picking up, I think, because I'm an old Bretonian player. Oh, whoa, paragraph.
He's just talking about Gameland Games and the booth that we built last year and having it all stored and all that. It's a lot of money for me not to go. And I would agree.
You got a point.
I would agree. But I don't run the business, so.
Well, also, didn't you guys store it up there?
Oh, yeah, it's stored.
Yeah, so you're not, that's all of something else.
No, Old World. Oh, it didn't show up, Darren?
No Old World again?
Well, because snow.
Oh yeah, I forgot weather.
There's
weather out there.
They don't happen to have a warehouse in Arizona where it doesn't snow. They have to have it in snowy states. So.
Well, the problem is when you have snowfall like we have, which basically buries the middle of the country.
Pretty much. Yeah. Good for the water table, not good for transport. Most stores in the U.S. didn't get it. All right. Well, at least it's not just a few stores didn't get it. Like, that would really suck.
Well, that's better than they just went, "Hey, Darren, we messed up your order, not getting it," which is what you usually hear, my friend, is that somebody screws up and you don't end up getting it. So.
But I'm really curious to see how the Old World goes off. Well, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, you don't get into that. Yeah. No, I'm actually excited about it to a point, because like I said, my first big event I ever played was at the 97 GT,
right,
over in Glen Burnie, and I played Bretonians, and the Bretonians are a really fun army to paint. They really, really are. And Darren is Jack's like surprised. I don't blame you, buddy. It's just,
I'm not surprised.
It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Well, this would be like, I never picked up Bretonians, so this would be a good way to pick up a Bretonian army. Just because I do like knights in shining armor type armies. So
yeah. The big thing about Bretonians is you have your line troops, your commoners, your peasants, whatever terminology they're using for them now.
Yeah.
Those are uniform. They basically all have the same heraldry and everything else. But when you're doing the night units, every model's a character. You got to go through everybody's got their own independent heraldry. Their independent.
Well, it's,
yeah.
The line troops are servants to the king, so that's why they're the same. But the knights that's a household thing. That's your house. That's your heritage.
They're fun to paint, but it's really hard to speed paint a Bretonian army if you're going to be knight heavy. So.
I guess unless you're going to keep the everything kind of uniformed, like where you're just going to change like symbols, maybe. I don't know, but that's unfortunate that you didn't get it. That really kind of
that kind of sucks. So,
I do want one of the boxes. If anybody happens to get an Old World box,
have a box. Just the box. You're not talking about the content.
I don't want the contents inside of it because I just need to buy the orc book because I don't need any models for orcs. I think I have a few.
I was hoping I had talked to Darren about getting a Bretonian starter, just because I'm a Bretonian player, and that I was hoping to find out today. Did they come in and did he have enough? Because I normally take a back seat.
Right.
Taking Darren's regular customers get it before I grab mine. So I was hoping to see if there was enough for me to get one and go from there. But again, the weather though, at least this one, I can't explain why the GW stores got them. But yeah, weather I can completely understand. So yeah.
Different shipping company. It's just business.
GW Warpstone Transport.
Yeah, they have a portal in the back of the shop, and they're able to just drop stuff into portals, and it just shows up magically at the stores where everybody else is like, UPS.
Yeah, when I worked there, we had that same portal. You go through a closet, and you come out in Bugman's in the UK. And you'd have a pint and a burger, and then you come back to that portal. It worked. That's how it worked.
I love those portals. But yeah, so that's coming out. There's just a lot going on. The gaming community, the gaming world is filled with a lot of stuff right now.
We're kind of, I was a teenager at the wrong time. I was a kid at the wrong time because comic books are mainstream, D&D is mainstream, miniature gaming is there's so much stuff out there. When I was a kid, I had to hide this stuff.
Right.
My dad, but there's so much stuff going on. And in miniatures right now, you really got to work hard to put out a bad miniature. There are so many sources to get your miniature produced properly. Even guys can do it in their garage right now. I mean, Alan sent me a tank that he wants me to paint up for him. And it's 3D printed, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And so it's really hard right now. If a company wants to start a miniature game, you really got to work at it to put out a bad quality miniature because there's just so many sources.
Even the board game, crazy. Like back in the day, we're getting long in the tooth. When we looked at,
by the way, you do know that when you say back in the day, you're referring to a Tuesday.
Yes, but board game miniatures were crap. Like, they literally represented just a space on a board because the models were crap. Well, now board game miniatures are like right up there with GW miniatures, and not to the extent of plastic injected and multi-part building, but detail-wise, there's like the new Descent miniatures are just phenomenal.
I have probably a dozen board games I picked up that I have no intention of playing, but I wanted the miniatures.
Yeah. You just want to paint them up.
Yeah. Well, my Zombicide Thundercats. I didn't buy them from Zombicide. I bought them from a Thundercats.
I got the Zombicide Iron Maiden models. Like, I don't want to play Zombicide with them. I just want to paint Iron Maiden models.
Yeah, and I just picked up there's a Marvel Zombies for Zombicide.
Yes.
I picked up the Fantastic Four expansion because I won the Fantastic Four. It's insane.
There's a lot going on in
Crisis Protocol. There's so many. The problem is, I'm living in a place right now where there are so many games I want to play that I want to try, and I could spend the next 20 minutes just talking about the games I want to play.
Right.
And I'm living in an area that I have nowhere to play them.
Yeah. you're kind of locked in. Yeah, there's some online services you could use to do that, but it's just not the same. And I was talking to Alan yesterday at the shop. They're getting ready to launch some videos on RPG stuff, and we were just talking in general about online. And I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't work for me. Like an RPG online just doesn't have the same appeal, or like if I'm going to play with people, I want to see their face. I want to be in the room and be part of that energy that an RPG has to offer. And online, I've watched a lot of streams of people doing it online. I've done online RPGs before. I did it with Lenny and Bethany. We did Call of Cthulhu, and I've done it on my buddy's Discord, and it's just not the same. Oh, I just smashed my table. It's just not the same to me.
Yeah, no, I've had the same experience. I think part of that is you and I grew up in an era where that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of new, different, and weird for us. But I think people that grew up with streaming and FaceTime and all that, they're kind of used to that kind of an environment. I found it awkward and clunky.
Yeah, and they're missing out. That's why I'm kind of excited about what Darren has going on this weekend over at the shop. Rekindle, maybe get some groups doing some free league stuff at the store. I don't know. Maybe it could spark up. And like Alan's like, well, why don't you come down and play? I'm like, yeah, when are you guys gonna play? And like, Sunday. Yeah, I work.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's just a life thing. So it's not been played online. They're recording. They're recording on the gaming sessions, and then they're gonna have like a YouTube thing promoting different games from the shop. So
there's just so much stuff going on out there that game production wise, games they're coming out. They're coming out quicker than you can keep up with.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just like that, there's also other genre, other hobbies are just as exciting right now. It's not just a gaming thing. It's just like hobby stuff in general is just really booming right now, where people are just finding ideas of like, I want to do these things. Like, and I think that's just I think it's more of a just goes to show how technology's getting better.
Yeah.
If you go back, like, how would you get a game made back in the early 2000s? Good luck. Yeah. You would have to pitch a game. You would have to start your own company. You would have to have all the financing. You would be taking a huge risk. And then now it's like, I can write an RPG book and I can just upload it to DriveThruRPG and sell it. Like,
yeah,
I just proofread someone's adventure module yesterday. I'm like, he already had it up online. I'm like, you didn't really read this, did you?
Well, as we know from GW's books, proofreading is an option.
Yes, but this was an Italian company or an Italian author, and he was really asking me to read it from a American point of view because he wanted to make sure. And it was like, yeah, there's some things that he had to. Yeah, it's a little things, nothing major. Their RPGs are just done differently. The ability to self-publish and self-promote is greater than ever. Yes, that's exactly the point. Anyone can do it now. So I think that's why we're seeing so much. And be honest with you, it's a little overwhelming for certain aspects. Like you're saying, you could sit here for 20 minutes and ramble on about all the games you want to play.
Yep.
All right, we're back. Early 2000s, that would be like a short conversation.
Well, I used to sit and Darren and I would have many conversations back in the day at Waterloo, which again was a Tuesday. And Darren and I always had our conversations on Tuesdays. That's the only time we actually had meaningful conversations. We've talked about like GW for 40K or fantasy needed to change this or do that, and that just wasn't the capability. I used to long for it, and then when we fast forward to 8th, 9th, and now 10th edition of 40K, where every quarter I get a new data slate or points investment, and I got my phone that I can create an army. If I want to check a rule, I can check on my phone. There's so much change happening so rapidly to make adjustments to the game that I was complaining this year and last year I can't keep up with it. What version is that? Where's it coming from? And, you know, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's great. It's just I'm not used to that kind of response.
Right. Well,
it's a good thing. It's overall it's a good thing.
And you would think editing issues, like we joke about GW's editing issues because they're this big corporation, blah blah blah. Yeah. The same thing happens with all my RPGs. Any of my RPGs that I've backed online, even from Free League, which I think of them as a premier, you know, custom plays. I'm like, yeah, we found some mistakes in this, or we had to change this, or this wasn't like that. It's just part of the process now. Yeah, and it is a little disappointing when you back a Kickstarter and then next thing you know, you're getting an update and they're already changing rules. I'm like why? I just don't go. I just like, nah, I just play it as written. I don't care anymore. I'm just like, I'm playing solo anyway, so I change like I think that's why playing solo works for me, because you know me. I change everything about everything and I make things work.
I've never noticed that about you.
Never noticed that about me. So that's why playing solo works for me, is I literally will add and change and do whatever I want to make the game. I recently did a video about a game that came out called 2D6 Dungeon. It's a roll and write kind of game.
Sure.
And I didn't like the way it was set up, so I completely changed their layout of their book. And
you guys are wondering what's good thing Jeff never takes on sponsors. Let me tell you about this. We reviewed a product on our original stream back in the Game Grotto. Slow Fuse Gaming, which is now Millennium, or is it
Monument Hobbies?
Monument Hobbies.
Yeah.
Gave us their Go bag to review, and I was kind of excited about it.
I bought the game bag. I bought it.
Well, that's right. You bought it. You didn't get it.
I bought it.
You bought it. But the first thing Mike said was, it does this, and this. But I didn't like that, so I changed it. And he says, going to how he actually made the bag different from what they had it as off the shelf. So that's why we don't have any sponsors. I'm terrified that we're going to get a sponsor, and then Mike's going to show up and say, yeah, but that sucked, and I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah, I didn't like the foam trays were too deep for the regular size GW pots. They were made for bigger, and I'm like, well, I had to cut down the tops and I had to make them fit my paint pots. I don't think Jason ever forgave me.
I was half expecting with your Lucent Game Envy light, the first time I saw it actually in place, I would see wires hanging out. Well, this didn't work right, and that wasn't, so I made this adjustment. And you're right, Jeff, it needs a hinge here.
No, I actually am using that as intended. Believe it or not, I am actually using that as intended. So
I did have a thought when I actually pulled them out to ship yours and Darren's out. When I grabbed them, this box is kind of flimsy. Mike's not gonna like the box.
I noticed you reinforced the box and you used your Old Wolf tape, and I was really impressed when and it was kind of like, so I didn't know when it was going to show up.
Right.
So I came home for lunch that day thinking I was going to be there after the mail carrier delivered the mail, because I assumed you were shipping it USPS.
USPS, yeah.
Yeah. So I got home and the mail carrier was at the mailbox delivering, and I'm like, well, I can only stay home for so long. So I was like dragging my feet. She finished putting in the mail, and I went to the mailbox and it wasn't there. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you went UPS or something else. So I went about my day. And when I was coming home, I saw the box out by my back bush.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, she hit it. Like it was like it was just like the very end of it. So she hit it behind a bush, but it was behind my house, not in front of my house. It was behind my house.
Well, so at least you saw it.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's where she put it.
Well, I ordered one for myself, and then went back and said, that'd make a great Christmas gift for Mike and Dad. So I then went back and ordered two more, because they had two things you can buy. You can buy one, or you can buy two at a time. So the two that I bought were in one box. So I pulled them apart, and I put one in the box, because mine arrived the 1 day sooner than yours and Darren's arrived. So I put one of them in the box that mine came in. And then I had to cut the other box down because it was double the size. So that's why yours ended up being yours, because it was just reinforced, and I had to wrap it with my my heavy packing tape. I was afraid it was going to come apart. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it was quite the feat to cut into it and get the light up. But I loved it. I hooked it up right away, dude. And I was just like,
I wanted to send you a present and a small quest.
And I did both of them. So very cool. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. So we'll be on next weekend. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Barring any internet problems, I will have the Discord pics as well as the stuff we can talk about from LVO. Be a week late, but heck, we're always a week late.
Yeah, we're not those people that follow trends. We move at our own pace,
which is sometimes a snail's pace.
But hey, at least we're moving forward and not backwards. How's that sound? There you go. There you go. We'll take the optimistic road here.
Absolutely.
I'll be optimistic. Good morning,
Jake. Once again, Jake pops in as we're exiting.
Showed up at the right time. He didn't have to hear us ramble on.
He got to sleep, and that's the important part.
Yeah, and he needs all the beauty sleep he can get.
Yeah.
So
moving at the speed of smell. That's actually not bad.
I don't know how fast smells. Could be. Good work. But we'll be back. But be ready. So President's Day weekend is going to be the big painting weekend for anyone that is interested. We'll be, like I said, we'll be streaming 6 times over that weekend, and it's all about focusing in on a project, really chipping away at that project, and going at it as best you can for 3 days or 2 days. And again, since it's President's Day weekend, you can shift. Just because we're starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you could go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and just focus on your project on Monday if you can free your schedule for that weekend. Heron, you have a great weekend as well. Always glad to see you here.
And don't forget, guys, Tuesday night at 7, I will be on Jake and Dave's Bill Pay Play YouTube stream. Promoting the Tale of Four Warlords again, so check it out. I know most of you guys out in Arizona can't check it live because it's 4 o'clock.
Do they premiere the stream? Do they put up a premiere on YouTube? I don't recall.
You can get set notifications. You got a notification on, then they promote it on Facebook for you.
I'm just kind of wondering though, if they premiere it on YouTube, can you share the premiere onto our YouTube channel? Can you share?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, or at least share, if they promote it on Facebook, share it to the Facebook page.
Yeah, I will absolutely will. And John Schaefer and I will be on with Jake and Dave talking about where we're at with our projects.
Okay,
definitely check that out. Very, very cool.
Good cross promotion, getting just sharing. I think you can. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You can share preview.
We'll give it a try.
You give it a shot. So I'm not. I don't premiere or preview any. I just put a video up.
Well, Dave and Jake always have really, really interesting guests on that are actually in the industry. I mean, they had the Army Painter, a couple on from the Army Painter for a while, and just good stuff. So definitely check it out. Definitely go back and watch it on YouTube.
And they even let you come on every once in a while.
Yeah, they put my ugly mug on there, and I don't know why. I can sit there and talk about anything under the sun on our stream, and I'm fine. I get on Dave's stream, I'm like,
yeah, it happens. Maybe it's just a little bit of fandom.
No, well, that could be part of it because I do, as far as the hobby goes, Dave has always been an inspiration for me as far as painting and just the amount of stuff he gets done. And I think he has a time distortion device. But I think the big thing, I think Dave cursed me when we were setting up for the first show, and he goes, "Well, what we're going to be having for the show today is we're going to be talking over each other a lot," and that kind of got stuck in my head. Basically, it's on YouTube. It's called Build, Paint, Play. Right. Check it out here on. It's a really good stream. But they go live. They do They do it live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. So if you're out in Arizona, that's going to be around 4 and in the afternoon for you guys.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out later if you can't watch it live.
Right.
It's a good stream. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. Actually,
if you can get a word in edgewise over Jake, you're doing okay.
Yeah, but you have the same problem that Dave has. It's really kind of funny though because Jake does go off on tangents a lot, which is fine because that's actually what makes the show.
It does make the show. Well, that's like Dave is very grounded.
Dave is very focused and he has a place he wants to get to, and Jake is all over the place, which is good. Jake does what you and I do. We'll be talking, and that'll trigger a memory, and Jake goes off, which is I do that to you all the time.
Well, me, it's just throw a dice in front of me and I'm gone.
The funny thing was they didn't have a guest last week, and that, quite frankly, that was one of my favorite shows because it was just Dave and Jake being Dave and Jake, and there's a lot of great stories came out, a lot of great personal anecdotes and just stuff, and it was just good. But it's really, really a good show, and they have really good guests because Dave and Jake both have connections everywhere. And they bring a lot of different guys. And it's not just miniatures; it's just gaming in general.
So good stuff. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and skedaddle on out of here.
One more thing, and no, Jake, I didn't say that just because I saw you pop in. I'm not sucking up.
You always talk good about Jake.
The show. I try to promote the show as much as I can because it's really cool.
So I tried to keep him away from. Yeah,
I told Mike on I think it was our first show, we talked about what our roles are, and I wasn't sure. And then after the first show, I realized what my role was. My role was to keep Mike away from his script as much as I could.
Yes. It was a very easy thing for you to do because
I would just stay because he literally on our first show came with a script. Here's what we're going to do. It wasn't words we had to say, but topics we wanted to do. Right. And I decided at that moment in time, my job was to deviate from that roster.
And Jake is the same with Dave. So yeah, I showed up like I had a custom made notebook with like subjects and everything was broken down, and we could and you were just.
And we had a pseudo rehearsal where you went down. Okay, we're going to do this.
Yep.
And I'll do the intro, and then we'll talk about this, and then you can talk about that. It was literally regimented like that. And I'm sitting there going, this is going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy this a lot.
Oh, we learned so much about streaming doing that at the Grotto. It was such a great time.
Well, that's the other part I like about the show because they're going through the same pains that you and I went through, and that we still go through.
Yeah.
Where it's like you hit the wrong button, something doesn't work, and it's just awesome.
But the stress level's different.
It is.
Like when it was first happening and like a battery went out and a camera, like, oh, what do we do now? What happened? There was a bit of panic, and like now it's like,
oh look,
all right, we know how to fix that.
Wheels are falling off the cart. No big deal. We'll just talk from here.
The house is burning down around me, and I'm like, yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. Like the stress level is just different as you get more experience at it.
But definitely check out the stream, guys, if you get a chance. And then we'll be back when?
Next weekend.
Nice segue, wouldn't it? You like that?
Look at you. You're like, it's like you had that scripted. So yeah, we'll be back next weekend. Again, start thinking about your project. Think about what you might want to do over the President's Day weekend in February of what you want to paint and things like that. And we'll just get ready for a big painting weekend of I'm just doing nothing but Legion Imperialis. I just want to get through all this stuff, get it all cranked out, and then you're going to work on your Tale of Four Warlords.
Sphere 4x10
there you go.
Warlords,
found you. Cool. Aaron found the page. Subscribe.
Check out the stream here, and I think you'll like it.
I'll do the. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.
Well, we have to start remembering to do that because if we're going to be streaming to YouTube, then
yes. Oh yeah. Well, we are streaming to YouTube right now. So
that's my point. We have to
subscribe. We'll have to get the little YouTube icon.
I got to figure out how to put that in our exit our extra. I have to figure out how to get that in there so we can actually have.
Did you guys see the crew? Yeah, we did see the crew. We'll be showing pictures next week. I
didn't have any internet because of the snowstorm that hit down here, so we're going to go over those next week. Yeah, the crew are awesome. They look fantastic.
Are they making a separate army?
You can now within the Tau army make a crew specific force from everything I've read and seen, which is awesome. And the crew looks fantastic.
They are rad. I've always liked the crew as far as a faction one, but they were never a faction. They were just like, you could put a lot of them, but they were like basically line troops.
Yeah, they were just
now you've got riding things and big guns. So
there's enough there, and in for apparently you can now make a crude force.
And those look more dinosaurish to me than what the orcs are. Sorry. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
So that could be cool. All right. Well, we're gonna jump. I got stuff to do today.
My script is now saying end of show. We must go.
Well, the timer is telling me it's end of show. So, all right, everybody. We will chat with you all next week. Everybody have a great day. Jeff, you got anything before I click the button?
No, not all, big man.
All right. Everybody take care, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.